is. Okay, well, good morning, everyone, again. Again, my name is Oswaldo Alvarez. I am here with IDHS with the Illinois Census Office. Before we start, we would like to remind everyone that today's training will be recorded. And I would like to start by thanking the Office of Strategy, Equity, and Transformation for partnering with us to be able to deliver this important training to organizations across the state of Illinois. And Shanta, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Shanta with the Census Office as well. And so I wanted to just talk about, this is a GATA training overview. At the end of this overview presentation, we will show you how to access the actual training modules that have been created on GATA website. And so just to kind of cut to the chase, GATA in Illinois is mandated by legislation. So it's a law. And the original purpose was for there to be uniform standard state awards in the application process, and to improve grant performance, and to have more transparency. And so GATA is not the boogeyman. It can be mastered, it can be done. It can seem daunting at some points, but it is definitely doable. And the Secretary of DHS, along with the governor and the director of the Strategy, Equity, Transformation Office, Karenina, who was on this call, as well as Oswaldo and I, it's really important that minority owned and small businesses have access to this GATA information so that organizations can learn more and also be able to do business with the state and access grants. And so that's why we're doing this today. We will get right into it.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and share my screen. Give me a sec. This one here. Okay. Give us a sec. Let me just. Okay, great. Okay, well, let's just get right into it. So GATA is the Grants Accountability and Transparency Act. Is a legislation that will allow you as an organization, any nonprofit, any organization in the state of Illinois, to become eligible to apply and receive grants with the state of Illinois. Now, GATA it complements the already national standards for organizations to be eligible to apply and receive grants from federal government. So if you are GATA compliant, that opens up your doors for you to also be compliant and eligible to apply to national grants. Now, in today's webinar training, we are going to walk through these different steps. We're going to on how to search for funding opportunities with the state of Illinois, how to pre-qualify for GATA, complete the risk assessments, and then finally how to complete a notice of funding opportunity, a NOFA, which is the grant application for you to apply for grants. So first and foremost, here, this is the website that we have at the state of Illinois that details all of the different grant opportunities that are out there from the state of Illinois. And so when I talk from the state, I'm talking not only from IDHS, I'm talking from Department on Aging, I'm from Department of Commerce Economic Opportunity. Every single agency from the state of Illinois that has any kind of grant opportunities, all of those grant opportunities are uploaded into this statewide website. Now, when you click on that link, the one thing that you'll see is you can search by agency, you can search by program, you can do the search you can do the search in many different ways. But what you'll see there is you'll see which are the active programs of all of the different agencies. You'll see the active awards, and then you'll also be able to see the active opportunities. So for example, here you'll see that through DCO, Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, there are 288 active programs, that there are 1,102 active awards, and currently there are 6 different active opportunities right now for you to be able to apply for a grant. You would not be able to apply for a grant until, of course, you are GATA eligible. So let's go right into the pre-qualification for GATA eligibility. And the first 3 steps, well, I'll go step by step. The first step is the FEIN number. So if you are an organization and you file for taxes each year, this should be a number that you should already have. So one of the things that we want to make sure with GATA is that we want to make sure that we are contracting with organizations that can fiscally manage the grants that we're going to be contracting with, right? So you will be contracting with government here, right? So then that's a big piece of what we're trying to make sure that you do file taxes. And so here it is. So the first thing is you need to have your number. After the number, you need to register for a DUNS number. A DUNS number is a data universal numbering system. So think of the FEIN number as your social security number, and think of the DUNS number as your credit karma number. The DUNS number is a number that you get from a third party, and it's really to see the credit that your organization has. So again, the first one was the FEIN number, the taxes. This is the credit. It is a unique 9-digit number. You can apply for it online. And then once you have that number, once you have the 9-digit DUNS number, now you can set up a SAMS.gov profile. So what the DUNS number requires, it requires from your the legal business name, the address, the phone number, the name of the CEO, when was your organization created, the primary line of business, and the total number of employees. And again, just to reiterate, the DUNS number is a third party number, is obtained from a third party entity, and this is for state government to be able to see what is the credit that your organization has. Now, SAMS. Now, SAMS.gov, so, FEIN was your social security, DUNS was like your credit karma, SAMS is like your national Facebook. So the SAMS.gov is a portal that you create, and in this portal that you create, you have to renew it annually. And here you have to put all the information from the DUNS number that you already obtained to the FEIN number. It is free to register. And here we are, and they also ask for the legal business name, the email address, and the bank routing number, and your account number and type for the organization. Again, very important. The SAMS.gov profile has to be renewed every year. So it does expire, and once it expires, and if you do not renew it, then you are no longer eligible. Okay, so those first 3 steps are with national government. So now you are registered, and actually after you complete step 1, 2, and 3, you are already eligible to receive grants from national government. So any kind of grant that comes from the Department of Education, Department of Labor, Department of Agriculture, all of those grants, now you are eligible to apply. Now here in step 4, this is now with the state of Illinois. Now in the state of Illinois, we want to make sure that you as an organization, you are in good standing with the state. So you have to file an annual report, and if there's any kind of fees, then you have to pay. So think of this as, now this is a state, right? Think of it as if you're renewing your license plates, right? We want to make sure you don't owe tickets. So you have to file the annual report, and this step is not required for government entities or for schools. And now the final step, just like you created a SAMS.gov profile, now you need to register and create a GATA profile with the state of Illinois. Here you'll see the instructions on how to do that, and pretty much it'll be asking for the same steps of what we just laid out.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions before we move on to the next portion?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and so the next step is in this state portal is authentication, grantee registration, and verification of pre-qualification status. So the authentication, it verifies the relationship between the individual and the organization they represent. So they're trying to make sure that the person who says, hey, I want to open up or start a profile on the state's grant portal is a person who is authorized with the organization to actually do business. So sometimes people say to us, GATA's too hard, I can't get past the DUNS number. It's because they may not be the person that's authorized to do this step, right? Because you know from the DUNS, like you need checking account number, routing numbers. Those are things that not all employees have for the organization that they work for. So it's really important. Normally, the person that will fill this out is like the CEO, executive director, a CFO, someone higher in leadership, unless someone in leadership has given another person that authorization. But you create an account, and you can see a screenshot of that. This is what the registration looks like. Standard name, information, username, password. You will get an email from Illinois Identity Management to let you know that you created a new account. It may go to your spam, so please check that. You do have to click the link in the email to verify the account. The second step is grantee registration. And so you use this link to browse, you sign in. You'll be asked to complete your DUNS number so that it can be associated with your Illinois.gov account in your organization. You sign in. You will have to accept the terms and agreements. Here we are. And this is where you will put in your DUNS number. This is what it looks like. See, it's asking for DUNS, FEIN, the type of organization, things like that. So after you register, the GATA website will electronically verify your pre-qualification. So if you look at the highlighted part, it tells you any issues or things that you need to do for the grantee portal. So it says sam.gov account pending, right? FEIN number is good, and it has a list. Illinois Secretary of State, that's pending. Illinois stop payment list, you're good. That means the organization is not on the stop payment list. So if you are on the stop payment list, you won't be able to receive further payments until you rectify. Most times organizations are on the stop payment list because they have not completed a report after a previous grant that they've had. So if the grant requires you to do a report at the end or a report every 6 months, if you don't file that, you may end up on the stop payment list. You need to reach out to the Secretary of State or the organization that put you on the stop payment list and ask them, how do you rectify that? So again, these are the qualifications, pre-qualification requirements we went through before. FEIN, DUNS number, SAMS.gov account, cannot be on the excluded list, which is kind of for the federal government, which is kind of not being on the do not pay list for the Secretary of State. And not be on a list for the agency that's giving you grants, a do not pay or do not do business with list with the organization that you've had a grant with before, with the state.
Okay. So,
Are there any, do you have any questions, sir?
Not right now, no.
Okay, we're asking after each segment, so you don't have to like sit there and hold all of your questions if you have any. So we'll move on to risk assessment.
okay, great. Okay. And so now the risk assessment. So now that you have from your FEIN number, your DUNS number, the SAMS.gov, everything, all of those different things. This next step is for us to be able to assess how risky of an organization you are. Every organization has a risk. Doesn't matter who you are. Every organization has a risk. And the point of these risk assessments is not for you to be eligible for GATA, because at this point you are already eligible, and you are already eligible to apply for grants. The point of the risk assessment is for us to see how much of technical assistance you would need as an organization once you receive a grant. So there are two different types of risk assessments that we do. One is a fiscal and administration risk assessment. So we want to see administratively, what are your protocols in your organization, and also fiscally, how are dollars managed in your organization, what have you. So that's one of the risk assessments. The second risk assessment is a programmatic one. So it's for us to see, let's say that you are applying for a grant for census outreach. We want to see, do you already hire census promoters, for example, or something along those lines? So that's what the programmatic risk assessments would be. So the first one, the one with the administration and fiscal and financial risk assessment, that's what we call here the internal controls questionnaire, the ICQ. Okay. And the second risk assessment, the one for programs, is what we call the programmatic risk assessment, the PRA. Again, the risk assessments are not used to disqualify you from receiving a grant. The risk assessments are meant for us to know how much do we need to work with you as you receive the grant. Once you are registered on GATA in the portal that you just saw, that Shanta just walked you through, we will be sending you a link to the ICQ. And this ICQ, just like the SAMS.gov, needs to be completed annually. So every year you have to update it. Here, once you have the GATA portal, you will be able to see this where you create your ICQ for whatever fiscal year it is that we will be in.
And I want to say one thing. So like Oswaldo said, you have to complete the ICQ annually. The PRA, the Programmatic Risk Assessment, you have to complete that with each grant program. So if you want a grant from Department of Human Services, a grant from the DCFS, if you want a grant from Department on Aging, you have to do a PRA for each one of those grants, but you only have to do the ICQ one time annually.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. And so now the ICQ, again, the one that is annually for your entire organization, right? It contains 10 different sections of questions that you must complete. So here you see them, you see the different sections of the questions. So of course, one of the things that we want to make sure as you're doing the ICQ, again, we want to make sure that we contract with organizations that can fiscally, that could be fiscal stewards of these grants that we will be contracting, right? So we want to make sure that inside of your organization, you have the protocols for fraud, for procurement, for property standards, and audit, who pays the bills. We want to make sure that you as an organization, you have all of those different things in place. Again, if you don't, it doesn't mean that you are not qualified to receive a grant. It just means that we are going to be working with you to build these pieces of your own internal infrastructure.
Do you mind if I jump in right here?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so if any part of these regulatory measures that needs to be, like for example, in my organization, that needs to be developed or put in place, what does that process kind of look like? I mean, you guys do the assessment and then advise us on what things we need to do, or how does that kind of look and feel?
So like he said, it's not like a qualifier or dequalifier. So basically on all of these 10 areas, it will assign you a low, medium, or high risk. So for audit, let's say, it may say you have a medium risk. Anything above low, anything higher than low risk is there. The system will crank out on our end. You won't see it. Some mitigation factors. So it may say, something like they need to do better for audit. So we may suggest that you hire an auditor, and you are able to sometimes, most of the time, use the grant funds, right, to get an auditor for your program. It may say, please come up with a policy if you find out one of your employees is involved in fraud, right? And so that's what it'll look like. And so once you complete the ICQ and we get that back and we see the different levels of risk, The system will come up with mitigation factors to help you get stronger in the area where you have a higher risk. And we will go over those options. The grant administrator will go over those options with you and come up with like the best way to move forward. But it's not to disqualify you. It's basically to tell the state, hey, this is the areas where my organization may need a little more help in. And it'll say, this is the type of help that we've seen before that works with these issues. So we'll offer it to the organizations. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And if I'm hearing this correctly, you're basically saying that that this could be different for every program.
Every organization. This is organizational. So for any organization, if you will.
Okay, got you.
For the ICQ. Now, when we get to the PRA, yes, that could be different from each program.
Yeah.
DHS may say, if you're doing census, we want you to hire a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a juvenile, you got a juvenile grant from DHS, then we may want you to do something different. So the PRA would give us different things for the program, but ICQ should be the same because you're doing it once a year for your organization, not per program.
Yeah. So here we're looking at your business office. We're looking at your who is doing your fiscal stuff and audits and submissions and what have you. Your HR. So this is for your organization, not for individual programs.
Like I know one of the questions asked something like, who is the head of your organization, right? Is it an executive director? What is their title, right? They want to know who handles your finances. Do you have a CFO? Sometimes the CEO is the CFO. So it asks questions like that in all of these different categories that you see on the screen. How do you handle groups that you give a sub grant to, right? Things like that. How do you give them money? Do you keep track of their receipts? Do they keep track of their receipts? So it's just trying to figure out where you are as an organization for fiscal administratively for the year.
Yeah, and just for example, like if it asks, do they keep track of the receipts, and you answer no, it does not mean that you do not qualify for a grant. It means that now we are going to try to help you in creating some sort of protocols on how you can start collecting receipts.
Yeah.
Got it. Sounds great.
Okay.
I'm gonna need both of you guys' phone number when you guys get off.
So, okay. I mean, once you go into the ICQ, then you hit submit, right? So you'll see this is the screen that you'll be seeing, and here it'll show you the questions. So here, for example, is where you see the number of questions for each section and the question and whether you answer them. So as you can see in this example here, we have that all 40 questions were answered. Okay. And here, this is pretty much whomever's going to sign it, right? And so usually it's the CFO and the CEO, and then that's it.
Or an equivalent. So that's what I was saying. This shouldn't be just filled out by anyone in the organization. Mm-hmm. It needs to be a leader or someone that was directed by the leader.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then now the programmatic risk assessment. This is the second assessment that my colleague Shanta was just talking about. So this one, you would be doing this one for every individual program. This is not the ICQ where it was for the organization. This is for every individual program. So let's suppose that you receive a grant from IDHS, one from DCO, one from DCFS. You'll be doing, in this case, 3 different programmatic risk assessments because you have 3 different programs.
Or 3 different grants from DHS. You still have to do a PRA, even though it's with the same agency, because it's a different program, and all programs require something different.
That's right. Yeah. And again, the PRA, what the PRA is, before I go there, what the PRA is trying to assess is if programmatically you have what does your infrastructure inside look like programmatically to see if this is something that, based on our experience, if your program will be able to succeed. So for example, how many case managers you have, if let's say that this is a grant that may require that, or do you have experience in case management? Or let's suppose it is nothing about case management, it's all about door knocking. Well, now we're going to be the programmatic risk assessment might be asking, do you have experience in door knocking and canvassing and what have you? So again, the questions in the PRA are going to be very different for every single program, and it must be completed for every program that grant that you receive. Okay. So, and here goes to the questions that were asked earlier. Every organization will come back with some sort of risk, whether it's medium, high, and the state agencies, we will be the ones that are going to be seeing how much of a risk you are. Now, for if depending on your risk is where we will be able to create like an action plan, if you will, with the organization on how to address some of the steps that we may see either in the ICQ or in the PRA that may be needed to be addressed. Okay.
So when you go through this whole process and you are notified and you get an award, you respond to a NOFO, you will get a notice of state award in a uniform grant agreement. If you have special conditions to mitigate your risk, they will be in that contract. So it's not a surprise. You'll see them and you will have to read them before you can sign off and actually, sign the grant agreement, and it has exhibits. So you'll see them, you're able to call and email and talk to the grant administrator to see. But this is something, it's not public, it's not all or nothing, right? You could have high risk in one area of the PRA, and then you can have low risk for everything else.
Okay, and special conditions so some of the special conditions, depending on the risk that your organization comes back to us, it may be that it requires more frequent reporting from you. We may require more either program or fiscal monitoring, or also, as we were saying, provide to you more technical assistance and management assistance. And yeah, and that's pretty much it, right?
Do you have any questions at this point?
No, I'm good. I was losing you guys there for a minute, but I was able to get reconnection. So, but yeah, no, I'm good so far.
Thank you. Okay, well, we're almost to the end. So I just want to make sure you know that pre-qualification leads you to all state grant funding, not just for one agency. So if you get through all of that and you get your FEIN number and you get your DUNS number and your SAMS number and you get set up on the GATA portal for the state of Illinois, making your account, and then you do the 2 risk assessments, congratulations. You've done what you needed to do. You've done what needs to be done, okay?
Okay.
So before, I want to show you the actual GATA training, but let me go back to that before we talk about our next dates, so that you can see what the training looks like. We created this. It's literally like a class. You can do it your own pace. I hope you can see our screen still.
I can.
Thank you. And the link is in the email that you should have received. I'm not sure if you got it from DHS or from a legislator, but if you go to workshop overview, so it's each module and it won't let you move on to other modules until you complete this one. And it goes more into detail than we did. Like it goes through every single thing, like how to qualify, the GATA website, the risk assessment. So it'll walk you through each module, I'm sorry. And I'm just showing you this course takeaway. So the first module is about how to prepare to apply. The second one is how to apply or not apply, like should you, putting together a successful application, which is responding to a notice of funding opportunity, which is what the state releases, building your budget, and staying true to the recipe. So basically talking about the risk assessment. So this training is really cool. You could do it at your own pace. You can log in and out. It saves where you were. You can come back. And so that's really important. You can spend time on the areas that you really need and not spend as much time on the areas that you are very well versed in.
And just one thing to note, like for example, one of the reasons why there is a should you apply or not apply is because many of the grants that are eligible from state government are on a reimbursement basis. So remember how we need the DUNS number and the credit and what have you. So one of the things that many organizations have to think about is, can they upfront the dollars, right? So that they can pay their employees, so that they can actually do the grant, so they can execute and what have you, and then submit receipts so that they can get reimbursed. So these are some of the questions, if you will, that and some of the scenarios that you're going to be able to see in the training module. Given that that is going to be there, that could be a reason why not to apply.
Yes.
Okay, I got that. Matter of fact, we were actually involved in a situation recently with that, where we knew we had to finance it up front in order for there to be eligible for the reimbursement grant. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why we just want to make sure that everyone is aware of that many times it may mean that you need like some dollars from the philanthropic community, or it may mean that you need to take out some money from the bank, right? The credit and what have you. So that's why those questions.
Yes.
Okay. So now, what are these dates right here?
These are the dates for our next upcoming sessions, like what you just sat through. So if you want to sit through another one, you're going to hear us say the exact same thing. Or if you want to share, some people say they like my Zoom voice. You never know. And then if not, you can share with other people at community, other organizations that will be doing five more of these. So 2 a month. And then we'll post one on the website so that people can see and listen and hear the questions. And so, do you have any other questions, sir?
You know what? Let me just tell you a little bit about who I am and why I'm out here. I recently became a pastor maybe about 2 years ago, and of course, the second year I got hit with a whole pandemic, right? So I have, of course, we're a nonprofit. We have a 501(c)(3), but we recently set up our community services arm of the church. And we're looking to see what programs and what grants may be out there to be able to offer to the community. So we're real big on community. We're very community centric as a church, but also we have our organization that we want to get off the ground up and running. So man, when I saw this, I was like, oh, this would be perfect, to get me acclimated to what is required, to get things rolling. And like you said, do we have the administrative capabilities to make it happen? So, man, I really appreciate this. I can't wait to get into the training. And you guys have been awesome. I hope I can get y'all your DMs and your phone numbers and everything.
Well, there's an actual, I don't know if you got the email from someone that we sent out about this, but there's an email address to reach out if you have questions. There's a whole grant office.
Okay.
In DHS. It should be in the email. Congratulations on being a newer pastor. I have done this overview with so many churches and pastors because they're always like, how do we, right? Like we have this other community service arm. Like, how do we access that and do business with the state? A lot of times the churches and community centers get money in the state budget, right? That their legislators have advocated for. And they're like, how do we get the money? You still gotta go through GATA. Like everybody has to be GATA compliant, right? Even if it's like, they're like, well, my senator got me this money. I'm like, it's still like a grant. You still have to
Doesn't
be GATA.
matter, right?
Yeah. So I
just want to let you guys know real quick that I will definitely be looking to be on the April 28th call with some of my team members.
Okay.
So yeah, I just wanted to kind of vet this whole process first, and then of course, now that I see how beneficial you guys are, I will definitely get them involved in this. So man, this is awesome. Thank you guys so much. No, I know you're going to tell me something else. What you got?
Yeah, no, thank you. I was actually about to ask you, after this, hearing this presentation, like, excuse me, are there any big questions or any big concerns that you make does this seem manageable to you, or does it still seem like, oh my God, I don't think I could ever do this GATA thing or what have you?
You know what? No, I mean, because you guys, I don't know. I worked in corporate America, so I can follow. I follow very quickly. But you find out a lot of people in church don't really have a whole lot of experience with a lot of things. So, but the blessing is, I followed it pretty well. I believe it's pretty self-sufficient, and the fact that you guys are making it even more detailed explanation available on the website is even better. So, but we're definitely looking to see, man, when I tell you I got a team of people that really want want to engage the community. And again, we're just looking for the opportunities out here to make it happen. So you guys, believe it or not, I am on my way to a funeral because I lost a dear friend of mine to COVID, man. And it just rocked my world. Yeah, so I hope you guys are okay with me driving and listening and all of that. So
that's okay. That was the end of our presentation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But look, you guys have been awesome. I would hope. Are you guys in Chicago?
Thank you. We are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Man, I would love this to come back. We should go to lunch.
What?
On me.
Email us after. You know, we on the state computer, so you know. We want to say we got to be very neutral, right? We don't want anybody to feel like
I'm not trying to bribe anybody. I'm just
I got to be clear for the camera.
I hear you. You know what? Honestly though, man, I'm just a hospitable person. I just love being able to bless people that bless me. So, and you guys really have blessed me today, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we look forward to hearing from you and your team at the next meeting, and email that email address if you have any questions. And I hope you get into some grants soon.
Yeah, we're going for it. So.
Okay.
All right.
You guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much again. Y'all have a great day. Okay.
You too.
Bye. Bye.